Welcome to From the Fishbowl, a podcast brought to you from the land of the Darrell people, a place where you, the listener, gets unprecedented access from the tales shared by Judy, Hannon MP, the independent member for Wollondilly, her staff, locals and experts in their field. My name is Ben Benasic, I'm the Chief Advisor for Judy, and today we have Judy.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning. And I'm joined with two young people that we've known for a short time and a very long time. Firstly, Jeremy Travers.
Morning, Ben.
Morning. And Nathan Pace.
Hello.
Hello. So the reason why we're all together here in this room is from, I guess, Judy to Nathan, there's a range of political experience. So Judy's been in politics since 2004, and I thought we haven't really, over the last couple of episodes, spoken about motivations for actually getting involved in politics. We've spoken about issues, but you know, there's a core reason why a person would go out of their way to speak up for someone else. And I thought that maybe we'd go from the beginning. Judy, what started you off in 2004?
So a couple of things happened. I was obviously in business in an area and it had very little representation. So I guess I was involved in the Chamber of Commerce and things there. But I had one of those crises in life that come along unexpectedly where I had cancer. And there was a drug that literally took my chances from 50-50 to 95-5. I guess the issue was that this drug cost $3,300 every 3 weeks for a year. And whilst I could work and manage to get the money together, how could I sit next to another person who couldn't, who was selling their house to try and get this drug? And hence I found out about advocacy. Got involved in advocating to get that onto PBS, got my final treatment for free, but I've met various women since then that have said to me, thank goodness you did that, you've saved our lives. And I believe looking after people and making them better is much more worthwhile to the government, if you want to put a financial price on it, than having children that don't have mothers. And I believe I've given a lot back to the community since then. So that started my advocacy and involvement in politics. That's how it all works.
And I guess that's that core aspect of speaking up for the other person. Wes, you've tried to do it for obviously extending someone's life in a circumstance which is out of their control and is the worst that someone can be in, and a lot of times in that situation. But this drug gives people that hope and it changes those circumstances around. It could even be as banal, and it sounds banal, but as a person's driveway that they've struggled with.
And so I learnt the difference then of what you can actually achieve, and it might be about saving somebody's life, but I can certainly remember an elderly lady up at Warragamba who was totally distressed and focused on this driveway that had been dug up by the council, and to get that driveway fixed when she'd been every day of her life focused on it, for a year. And she was in tears once it was fixed. It might have been, there was a child up at Oakdale who was really upset. They'd had a few disasters in the family where people had passed away, and they were convinced that Santa Claus wasn't going to come there. And when you're able to advocate to get, a Santa to go up to Oakdale, it changed her life. And it's about making everybody's lives as pleasant as possible, and taking stress off people.
Yeah. So throughout the entire time that I've known you, Judy, you've worked, I guess, as an outsider and as an independent throughout that period. Not all the time of your own choosing as well, which is unfortunate, I know, and we share views on those different times, so we won't really get into that.
But we've landed in a great place, and it's really amazing being an independent and being able to help anybody be able to take a different opinion on every single issue that faces you and the community.
For sure. So Jeremy comes here, I think, uniquely because he's worked like myself, both for members in opposition, government, and now in independence, and you've helped constituents all the way through from different things.
Yeah.
Is there a feel that's different all the way through, or what do you think?
No, I think in terms of helping constituents, it's sort of been very basic. Politically speaking, there are differences in parties and what have you, but the general goal in trying to help constituents, I think, has been pretty consistent. Of course, political parties have different ways of appealing to the community at large, but no, I found that there's been very little difference apart from philosophy and what have you.
Sure. So then you as a staff are then involved in that. You obviously make a choice to then come into that career or, working in those environments.
Well, I mean, so, I was a member of the Liberal Party. I'm quite happy to say that publicly. I haven't worked, so Judy's actually the first member I've worked for. And, when I was a Liberal, I campaigned, I volunteered my time. You and I have door knocked together in the good old days. But, no, I find that helping people, working for Judy, I mean, all we care about is helping people. And I would say that was my main motivation for getting involved.
So the outcome then is no longer the political thing, it's
Correct.
the personal side of
Correct.
it. Yeah, cool.
Because, you and I, we've answered phone calls and we've heard some stories, that would break your heart. And it's that mindset. When you hear stories like that, of course you want to help people and, to hell with the politics of it.
Yeah. So cycling back around, Nathan comes into this office a couple of months ago, says he's moved into the area. So where'd you come from?
Penrith.
Yeah. And you now live in Warragamba?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you get involved locally by contacting Judy, contacting a couple of local people and started to get involved in politics.
Yeah.
Why? What's the motivation there?
I started in American politics and I found that really interesting. And then I just realised that none of that matters because it's nowhere near us and it's better to focus on what's actually happening around me, which is locally, within the government.
You're doing fine, mate. You're doing fine.
Yeah. Federal government, local government, down to the smallest people, which is like council, I'm pretty sure. It's council. And you work your way up. But so that's sort of
that
why
aspect of being, I guess, liking the game of politics or whatever, the theatrics of it, and being so far from American politics.
Yeah.
You wanted to that more community aspect and missing that individual that's having an outcome for them, or is that what the desire was for yourself?
just mainly because this matters more than this can affect what's happening around me more than just, watching what Trump or Joe Biden's going to do.
True. Although that's entertaining, I would argue that for all of us probably.
Mm-hmm.
But it's entertaining watching. It doesn't change people's lives, I think, and that's what the three of you have said in from each of your own perspectives. So I guess there's the question about bounce back. Judy, you've been around for nearly 20 years in politics, and I've seen you lose a number of times.
Yep.
I've seen some wins. I've seen some great wins for the community.
I guess it depends on what you count as a loss and what you count as a win.
Yeah.
For me personally, winning an election type thing or losing an election type thing is really not what the game's about. When you think about, people out there, if you're interested in the police station or your kids go to school or you get sick and go to hospital, you might not think you're involved in politics, but you are. And you should be, because the things that you use every single day, and this is why state government, I think, is probably really important, they're the things that those provisions are made and the decisions about them are made by the state government. So people should be involved in that sort of process. Now, as I was saying about wins and losses for me in an election are not the outcomes. The outcomes for me is to be in a position to help people. And you can do that whether you win or you lose. We've just seen a win for this office. We assisted some people in Renwick that were getting a building that they didn't want. And whilst we weren't in the fight, we were able to help them through the process of what they needed to do to be able to be heard. And by doing that, all of a sudden they have been heard and they've got an outcome that they wanted. So it wasn't about whether I won or lost the election. It was about, just being there. And I guess whether you win or you lose, people see you as somebody they can come to find out how to fight for something that they want to fight for. So it's about having that profile to an extent.
I think a lot of people, particularly from party politics, don't quite understand that when someone like yourself says, well, if the Malden Dumbarton link was actually delivered tomorrow, I could just retire and be happy.
Yeah.
And there's a truth in that, like really, because that monumental win would then just be enough.
Yeah.
Whether it would actually be enough, you probably still would be campaigning or getting involved in something because there's that fire that's still there, I think.
Yeah, I mean, we're so far behind. There's so many things that we need to get for this area. But, you know, I'm seeing some of the smaller things happen at the moment, and I'm hoping, and I know in my heart that we'll see some of the bigger things happen. So, yeah, I'll be happy. I'll have done my darndest at the end of the day. I look forward to celebrating with the community.
Can I just say, like, even in your situation with, like, you helped out the building, a lot of people just don't know, like, how the system works. Like, you don't know you can just go against that or just call your, like, mayor or anyone in council. Like, there's a whole system people don't know how to use. I don't, you know
That's the thing, isn't
like,
it?
So, like, they've come to you and you've just told them, hey, you can do this, this, and this.
Yeah.
And the other person on the other side probably is like, okay, these people know what we're doing. Like, most people probably just don't know you can do these things.
Yeah, and
like,
politics is just a thing to people. Judy is both federal, local member, king, queen, everything all in one. So people will come through the door and go, oh, it doesn't matter what it is because there's no differentiation there. They see member for Wollondilly, oh, that person can help, or councillor for. So as elected people, you have that huge range.
You guys are like political lawyers.
I reckon you're right. It's not, you can't come in here and expect us to do it.
Yeah.
You can come in here and find out how we can help you do it.
You help people here are the tools to go against whatever problem you're having.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's right. Sometimes we can do things, but often it requires the community to come and let us know there's an issue and to learn what they can do. Like these people at Renwick, they all got involved. They went down and spoke to the planning panel and they now, you know, and none of those people would have ever probably gone into the council building before, but they now know they can.
Yeah.
I guess that's a benefit of experience, but also that's a bad thing in some ways because then often political operatives or political parties become the gatekeepers for that political knowledge. So it becomes ingrained that, okay, it's the Liberal, the Labor office that only can provide that knowledge locally, and that's just because no one else gets another go. So I think it's very fortunate that you have local councils, by and large in New South Wales, represented mainly by independent people, which then flow up for that experience in state offices where I think that a lot of MPs that I know that Labor and Liberal actually hire independent people in their offices for that reason.
But it's interesting because you walked into the office, that's how we started to talk. You made a couple of phone calls and we replied to you. And if more people actually took that proactive step of getting to know their local councillors, their members, both state and federal, then if they took interest in it, they'd probably get a better outcome for themselves at the end of the day because they would understand what is being done for them or not being done for them, and they would understand the difference between the parties and the independents and all the rest of it. So you took the right step. It's about encouraging other people to take that step, and I'm going to encourage school students to come in so they hopefully get a bit of an interest up front about it. Yeah.
It's very boring sometimes with knowing this stuff or getting into it. But it's mainly about if you don't participate in the system and you look around and someone's building a building that you don't want there, and it just creates chaos of and you could have avoided it by just paying attention to who you're voting in, and just that's sort of where I'm heading for and stuff.
Right. Yep. And Jeremy makes a lot of the reps from this office. So people that come in, we say that we can't do it all. But when people come in and have an issue, Jeremy writes off to different ministers and finds out what the real story is and what appropriate tools there are for these people to act and try and change things to where they want.
Yeah, and that's a large part of my job. And not only do I write to ministers, on occasion I've written to councils as well. Because we often get constituents come in and they raise council issues with us, and it's much easier to just send a letter than go through a civics lesson on the 3 levels of government. The system is unnecessarily complicated, and I see it as part of my job to guide people in the right direction, and if need be, write to other levels of government to sort of encourage them to act in some way in favour of our constituents.
I think there's. Sorry. Yeah.
I was just going to say. I've lost my thought. You finish. So.
I think it's funny that people from the outside assume if we're working in politics, we love that system, as you're saying, that complexity of the 3 levels of government. But I think of anyone, we probably get more frustrated than anyone else.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because it's almost like we're sharing war stories of how bad some of these bureaucratic decisions get made or things happen between departments.
And let me just say for my friends out there that might be listening to this podcast later on, I absolutely love the Westminster system. I'm absolutely in favour of it. I just think that there are certain aspects of it that are unnecessarily complicated and not so people constituent friendly.
Yeah, like the upper house. So,
I'm not touching that one with a bar. I'm not. To my friends in the Legislative Council, I love your work.
I was just going to say, I like the government. I like the whole structure we have from other countries, because a lot of countries it's just chaos. There's nothing going on. I mean, here we've got a system. It works. If you hurt yourself, an ambulance comes, fire brigade. We've got all these systems in place, Centrelink, whatever. And if we don't take care of them and focus on them, it's just all going to corrode around us, and everyone's just going to blame the politicians when it's our job to put those politicians in to keep all this stuff working. So that's...
And I think that's a very, very good point. You should be finding out who these people are and what they're going to stand for before you vote for them. That's really important, not just, my family's always voted this way
liberal
or whatever.
Or Labour.
And I think that's a really, really important point. The other thing that I'd like to say is that you're talking about 3 levels of government.
Yep.
A lot of it, and maybe it's just because we're independent, a lot of it's about our networking. So we get people come through the door about council issues, state issues or federal issues, and we don't just say, go away, it's federal, or go away, it's council. If they're our constituents that live in the Wollondilly electorate, we'll try and help them. And it's about the networks that we have. So we have some really good networks in both political parties, that people that we know that have the passion for helping people that we can go to. And they'll help us through that system, whether, no matter what their politics are, they'll also help our community.
Yeah, because the power of government is interesting, where you've got that party politics and the body politic and the body corporate side of things almost. And there's this divisible line between the two. The politicians can't really put their finger into a department and say, fix this specific area or change this hospital bed from this room to this. They facilitate it on the basis of department liaison officers who work, and it's quite a complex system that works through. So you're right, Judy. It is in the benefit, or almost it's a motivation of those members also to help, because they have to try and navigate that process for their own constituency as well. So it helps them engaging with the bureaucracy. Often, I think it was joked about, I think, in Yes Minister, that there's the opposition that's in residence, and that's the departments that are sitting there blocking it. And there's a commonality that sometimes forms between the opposition members and the government and the independents, where they'll just roll their eyes at these bureaucrats that make these decisions, and they'll bandy together because they say, well, this is not right for our constituency, and the bureaucracy is not listening in this regard, X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, no, it does remind me of Yes Minister a bit. I think it was Sir Frank Gordon in that series that said, the politicians set the policy, it's the public service that have to carry it out. Yeah. And if you've ever watched Yes Minister, I know it's a comedy, but it could easily be a documentary.
Thatcher, I think.
I can't watch. What's the other one?
Utopia. It's too real.
My husband laughs at it, but I would tell you that I just cannot bear it because I see reality.
Yeah.
What's Utopia about? Because I probably know what it is. It's like dystopian.
It's on the ABC.
It's about government and the bureaucrats, and they'll open a park and
it's fast train projects and then kill them off.
Like,
and
yeah,
then,
yeah.
It'll
It's
be
just, but the trouble is, it is. While you think it's a funny and it's a joke and comedy, I mean, I just did a back tour of Sydney Kingsford Smith Airport, and we've got a history lesson of all the different changes that have happened in that airport. And I can tell you my takeaway lesson was that no decision about that airport was ever made for the good of the airport, the good of the people of New South Wales, or the good of people of Australia. Every decision has just been about political gain for the person in power at that particular time. And so we've seen things change, and then they'll change when there's a change of government, and so on and so forth. I mean, if you just think about the logic of it, they say if that airport could increase its numbers by 10%, we wouldn't need a second airport. Can you imagine the money that would be saved?
Is that Badgerys Creek? Which one is that?
Yeah, Badgerys Creek. Do you know that we have people that sit there and count the planes coming in and out per hour? You can't have more than 80 planes per hour, and they literally sit there counting them. That's the insanity of it, and somebody be employed to do that. So that's, the political game of everything, and decisions shouldn't be made by that. I hope when it comes to Badgerys Creek, decisions are not made for political benefit rather than getting a good airport up and running.
So someone told me they built like a pipe for fuel it was like 30 years ago, and they just lost it. They don't know where it is. It's like dug up somewhere.
Oh, probably. I don't know. I don't know the story with that, but they're the sorts of decisions,
like
and that sounds like utopia. This
is why China's so good at building things. They're just like build an airport,
and they do it.
Done.
But you wouldn't want to swap other things there.
No.
For here.
No. It's not good. I'm saying it's good. I'm just saying
they can get
they can get it done. They can get it done, but it's not going to fall apart pretty quick.
We just visited Brisbane's new metro, and what we saw was something that was being trialled, ready to go. But we said, well, when did you put the business case study up? And they put the business case study up in 2016. So it shows how long anything actually takes to be delivered.
We take so long to do it, but at the end of the day, it's going to be so safe. Ideally, I don't know, but and then because it gets dragged out for so long, people come and go, governments, it just turns into this blob of here. We got it now. It's like it was a pie, it's all missing pieces, but And
I saw the Badgerys Creek Airport take top priority with the last federal and state government, and then it sort of lost it when there was a change of government, and now they're building back up again. So you see things come and go. Yeah.
All right. Is there anything else you guys wanted to talk about or give advice for budding people that want to enter into politics?
If I can, Ben. My biggest piece of advice would be simply to just get involved. We could talk all day about the studies that we've seen about public participation in politics being at an all-time low. Tip O'Neill once said that all politics is local. Now, to everyone that's listening to my voice right now, if you see something in your community that concerns you, pick up the phone, write a letter, send an email, get involved, get your friends together. The only way that we're going to achieve change, political change, is by getting involved. It is no good just waiting every 3 years federally and 4 years at a state level, waiting to vote. Democracy is very precious. The system is very precious. The right to vote is very precious. So if you see a policy that affects you in a negative way or even in a positive way, get involved. Just get involved.
I just want to say on the way in here, the roads are very rough.
Yes,
we get a lot of complaints about the roads.
And pretty much what he said, but it's our duty, it's our responsibility as adult citizens to make sure this system's maintained. Otherwise, if it all collapses, it's no one else to blame but us.
And I think you're quite correct. I'm going on exactly what you've both just said, but sending letters, writing emails will actually get something done. Going on social media, nobody will answer you. It is not the way to deal with things. And we all complain about voting. You know, voting day comes and everybody has a joke about the democracy sausage and all the rest of it. And I've got to go and vote. But you need to remember people die for the right to vote. And we're very lucky that we have it. And while we joke about the politics and Utopia and all those shows and everything, it's really important that people take notice and care for the fact that they have that right.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Ben.
Thank you.